I married my childhood sweetheart and became a happily married couple in the eyes of everyone. However, on the wedding night, my childhood sweetheart killed my entire family and pushed me, who was pregnant, into the sea of fire. Die. Your whole family should be buried with her. It turned out that all these years, he had never forgotten that female gangster. In his resentful gaze, I closed my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to my senior year of high school, the day he was going to have a secret meeting with the female gangster. In the senior year classroom, I stared blankly at the handsome and charming William with clear eyes in front of me. This childhood sweetheart who married me but then killed my whole family and pushed me into the sea of fire. I never expected that I would be reborn. I was back to the place where he first started to hate me. Sophia, what on earth do you mean? Just give me an answer whether you'll help or not. William glared at me impatiently. Today is the day for the boarding student's home leave. It's also the day when he goes out for a secret meeting with that female gangster. He asked me to lie to his parents for him. It was also today that I couldn't stand seeing him go to a small hotel with the female gangster, so I told his parents everything about them. My parents and his parents found them in that dirty small hotel. That female gangster was so scared that she fled in a hurry on a motorcycle and eventually died in a car accident. Since then, William seemed to have changed into a different person. He didn't talk much and didn't smile often. Later, we got married under the matchmaking of our parents. It was only when he killed my parents in front of me and pushed me into the sea of fire that I realized he had always hated me. He had been waiting for an opportunity to take revenge on me and my whole family. William and I were childhood sweethearts. I was a few months older than him, and girls are always more sensible than boys. So from childhood to adulthood, I always protected him. He had also taken it for granted and developed the habit that I should always give in to him in everything. Even when he made mistakes, he would make me take the blame for him. In the past, it was okay as they were just small issues. But now, ever since William met that female gangster Luna, he has changed. He often skips classes, smokes, and even goes to nightclubs. Every time he talks about Luna, his eyes light up. It's a kind of obsession after falling in love. Back then, I was really angry and eager to break them up. Because since we were little, our parents and his parents had arranged a betrothal for us. This made me have a possessive feeling towards William all the time. So today, when I learned that they were going to a small hotel, I was very angry and told his parents. However, I never expected that in return, I got William's revenge, which made my family destroyed. Now that I have a second chance at life, if he wants to pursue his happiness, let him go for it. What does it have to do with me? That's your business. I looked up at William coldly, just like the way he pushed me into the sea of fire. You're an adult now. You can take responsibility for any decision you make, and it has nothing to do with me. Hey, Sophia, what do you mean? William frowned deeply. I'm just going to the ice rink with Luna, not anywhere else. Why are you speaking in such a sarcastic tone? Just what I said. I didn't want to argue with William. In this life, I don't want to have anything to do with him. You. Just as William was about to get angry, the sound of a motorcycle revving its engine violently came from outside the school gate. This was the signal every time Luna came to pick up William. William's face changed slightly, and he looked a bit flustered. He suppressed his anger and grabbed my hand, shaking it coquettishly. Sister Sophia, you're the best. Please, just help me this one time. I promise, this is the last time. I will definitely study hard from now on. This was William's usual trick. Every time when he couldn't threaten me with harsh words, he would resort to soft tactics. In the past, I would agree to him after his persistent coaxing. But this time, I still replied to him coldly. Let me emphasize again, this is your own business and has nothing to do with me. I won't take the initiative to tell your parents and report you either. If they ask, I won't lie either. Damn it. William cursed and pushed me away violently. Sophia, what nonsense are you talking about? If you won't help, then forget it. He pointed at me fiercely. you'd better not go and tattle, or the consequences will be serious." He looked so fierce, as if he was treating someone with a deep-seated hatred. I pursed my lips and smiled. This kind of childish threat meant nothing to me. Compared with what William did when he killed my parents with a knife and pushed me into the sea of fire, this was just a piece of cake. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. Yo, are these golden boy and jade girl going to break up? William has found his Snow White. Don't you know? Luna is really pretty now. She has dyed her hair blonde and permed it into waves, which makes countless men obsessed with her. That's right. The other day, I saw her riding a motorcycle with a cigarette in her mouth and wearing leather pants. She looked so cool. She's much better than Sophia, who's so dull. The classmates talked about it one after another, but it didn't affect my study at all. Back then, because of the trouble with William, I was in no mood to study and finally got into a third-rate university. After graduating from university, I didn't even have a decent job, which worried my parents a lot. Now that I've gotten rid of my troubles, I have to study hard and make up for what I owed my parents in my previous life. It's really comfortable to study without distractions. After school, I packed my books and went home. My parents, as usual, had prepared delicious meals and were waiting for me to come back. That was the warmest moment for me every month. Because my mother would cook a lot of delicious food for me. When my mother saw me coming home alone, she asked in confusion, "Sophia, where's William? Why are you the only one coming back today?" William's parents were in business and were very busy. So William would often come to my house for a meal, and my parents treated him like their own son. This was also the reason why my parents were very angry and would take action when they knew that William was not obedient. This time, I didn't want my parents to get involved in it. He left in the afternoon and said he had something to do. I calmly made up an excuse and replied, "Probably William's father and the others are back. Otherwise, he couldn't have left the campus." "Oh." My mother murmured to herself, "Why didn't William's father call and say something? I made so many dishes. I'll go and ask them to come over and have a meal together." Our two families lived opposite each other, so we had close contact. I quickly stopped my mother. "Mom, when I just came back, I checked and there was no one at their home. Maybe they went out to eat something delicious and haven't come back yet." My mother let out an "oh" and complained, "This William's father, I'll give him a good scolding when I see him tomorrow." I pursed my lips. I didn't want my mother to dwell on this matter, so I quickly changed the subject. "Mom, I want to discuss something with you and Dad. There are still 196 days until the college entrance examination, and our study pressure is really heavy. Many of my classmates have rented houses near the school. This way, they can not only have more time for review, but also have a better living condition in terms of diet and daily life. I want you to move nearby and accompany me through this final battle." My parents, of course, were very supportive of my study and agreed immediately. But my mother was still thinking about William. "Tomorrow I'll discuss it with William's father. Then we'll let William move there with us too, and I'll take care of all of you together." My face changed slightly. I originally wanted to get rid of William, but now my mother wanted him to come along. Of course I wasn't willing. I looked at my parents seriously and said in a solemn voice, "Dad, Mom, I don't want William to be with me." My parents were both taken aback by my words. "Sophia, did you have a quarrel with William?" My mother asked in confusion. "Tell me, Mom, what exactly happened?" "Mom, we didn't have a quarrel." I quickly explained, "It's just that we've been getting too close, and people at school keep saying that we're in a puppy-love relationship. This will affect our studies." "Dad, Mom, I know you have a good relationship with William's father, but the college entrance examination is such a serious matter. If they don't even care about it themselves, why should you worry about it? If William does well in the exam, that's one thing. But if he fails, William's father will definitely blame you. So, I think we should draw a clear line before the college entrance examination, and we can talk about it after the exam is over, okay?" Although I didn't learn much knowledge in that third-rate university, I did learn a lot of glib talk. At least I have some skills in deceiving people. My parents also thought what I said made sense. For the sake of my college entrance examination, they agreed with my idea. But my mother still said that she would call William's parents to inform them. I didn't object either. The next day, I urged my parents to find a house near the school and move our things there. Only after everything was settled did my mother call William's father. Although William's father was a bit unhappy, it was still better than the future where my family would be destroyed. I went back to school for the evening self-study after having dinner on the afternoon of the third day. I packed my things, got my access pass, and just as I returned to the classroom, William came running to me. "Sophia, what do you mean? Why didn't you tell me you were going to move out? My mom is back to watch over me now. What am I supposed to do? She's also planning to rent a house near the school and watch over me every day just like your mom. How am I supposed to go out and play with Luna in the future?" I looked at him with a mocking expression. "You're so funny. That's your business. What does it have to do with me? What do you mean it has nothing to do with you?" William grabbed me. "If it weren't for you acting strange and doing this, would I be in this situation? You come up with a solution quickly and make my mom not come back." I shook off William coldly. "Are you crazy? Why are you coming to me for your own business? Figure it out yourself." I don't know how I could stand William's strange temper in the past. He was so unreasonable and rude to me. Did he think I owed him something? William didn't expect me to treat him like this either. This time, he didn't even bother to act coquettishly and pointed at me fiercely. "Sophia, you'd better think carefully. I hope you can give me a perfect solution when school is over. Otherwise, the consequences will be serious." I completely ignored William and went back to the classroom to start reviewing. After the evening self-study ended, I walked back to the rented house from the school. Suddenly, the sound of a motorcycle roaring came from behind. Luna was riding a motorcycle, and there were two more following behind, blocking me in a corner. William stood on the motorcycle, with a cigarette in his mouth, and pointed at me fiercely. "Sophia, have you come up with the solution I asked you to think about? If you haven't, you won't be able to leave here today." I looked at William coldly that I didn't expect that he would dare to threaten me like this at this moment. This made me even more determined to completely get rid of him. "You little slut, my husband is talking to you. What are you staring at?" Luna raised her foot and kicked me that I felt a sharp pain in my thigh, and my body tilted. William seemed to be very satisfied with me being beaten, looking arrogant. "Sophia, I'm giving you one last chance. Come up with a solution quickly. Otherwise, you move back now and things go back to the way they were before. Only then can I be with my wife every day." He put his arm around Luna's neck, showing their intimacy, but these actions of his seemed extremely stupid and disgusting in my eyes at this moment. Luna, on the other hand, was very pleased. She exhaled the smoke and looked at me with disdain. "You little slut, do what my husband tells you to do. If you're not obedient, do you believe that I'll block you here every night and beat you up every time I see you?" I didn't want to get entangled with these gangsters too much. People like them have no moral bottom line. If they really pester you, they can do anything. I looked at William coldly. "William, I can't help you with your problem. But I want to tell you that you'd better leave quickly. My parents are up there. If they see you with these gangsters later and it gets back to your parents' ears, you know what the consequences will be." William's face turned pale with fright at my words. He angrily threw the cigarette butt at me. "Bitch, stinky woman, disgusting thing." But despite his scolding, he still told Luna to leave quickly. These little gangsters could bully students, but when they met adults, they were cowards and didn't dare to stay and left. I heaved a sigh of relief, rubbed my sore thigh, and limped home. To avoid being disturbed, I asked my dad to pick me up at the school gate every night after school. Although it might seem unpromising in the eyes of those gangsters, why should I care about their opinions? In 10 years, they will still be the lowest of the low, while I will be above them. Having experienced the future, I of course know that true success doesn't lie in how strong your fists are at the moment. That period of time was the most peaceful time for me. Even at school, William didn't come to find me. I was immersed in my studies all day long and enjoyed it. I heard from my mom that William promised to rank in the top 10 of the class in the monthly exam when he went back, so William's mother agreed to let him continue living in the school dormitory. I smiled bitterly in resignation. This was just his mother wanting to be lazy. At least this way, she could continue with her work and come to see William once a month. Until the end of the month, 3 days before the monthly exam, William came to find me again. Sophia, I haven't bothered you these past few days. You have to help me today. Please organize the key points of this exam for me. Stay up all night tonight and give them to me tomorrow morning. Still in that commanding tone. He showed no respect for me at all. There was even a bit of threat in his words that I felt like laughing. In my eyes, William at this moment was like a ridiculous clown. William, are you still half asleep? Do you think I'm a god? I don't have the ability to see from afar or hear from a distance. How do I know what will be on the exam? I don't care. William said domineeringly, anyway, you just need to organize it for me. I'll come to find you tomorrow morning. Don't let me down. After saying that, he turned around and left in a hurry. I saw that he wasn't going in the direction of the classroom. Hearing the sound of motorcycles outside the school gate, I already knew everything. I didn't take his request seriously at all. The next day, William came to find me early in the morning. Sophia, where are my things? Hurry up and give them to me. I'll go back and memorize them carefully. I don't have them. I replied indifferently, what? William stared at me coldly and resentfully. Are you fucking playing with me? William, please make it clear that I never promised you anything from the beginning to the end. I replied indifferently, moreover, I don't owe you anything. What right do you have to talk to me like this? Just as I turned to leave, William suddenly grabbed me and pleaded pitifully, Sophia, Sister Sophia, I'm begging you, please help me, okay? I only have you now. If you don't help me, who will? Just help me this one time and let me get through this with my mom. I promise you one request. I know you've liked me for a long time. If you agree to help me, I'll be your boyfriend for a day and a night, and you can do whatever you want. I sneered in my heart at that moment. I had been chasing William for so many years, but he had always been indifferent to me and played with my feelings that I never expected that now, for the sake of another woman, he was willing to be my boyfriend for a day and a night. Did he take me for a love-struck fool? At that moment, I really wanted to slap him twice and tell him to get lost. But in the end, I held back that I shook off William. Go find someone else. You make me sick when I look at you. I turned around and left after saying this. I didn't want to look at him even for a second. Sometimes, I even wondered if it was my fault for letting him go like this, but thinking about the result I got when I tried to stop him before, I finally calmed down. Sophia, who the hell do you think you are? William roared at the top of his voice. Did I give you too much face? Do you really think I can't find anyone else to help me except you? I have plenty of people I can turn to. Just you wait and see. I'll definitely make you regret it. I didn't pay any attention to him. After the monthly exam, I heard from my classmates that William had been caught cheating during the exam. Moreover, it was revealed that he was in a puppy love relationship, smoked, skipped classes, and other things. The head teacher asked him to invite his parents, but he actually knelt down in front of the head teacher, crying and begging the head teacher to let him go. Unexpectedly, the head teacher really agreed. William suddenly became the laughing stock of the whole school. Although he managed to avoid inviting his parents, he couldn't get past his mother. When William's mother found out that his grades were at the bottom of the class, she was furious. At the same time, William's mother unexpectedly discovered that William was secretly smoking something at home. At that moment, William immediately shifted all the blame onto me. Mom, the reason I didn't do well in the exam is not because of anything else. I had a relationship with Sophia. It was Sophia who seduced me and made me think about those things all day long, so I had no intention of studying at all. Moreover, she made me take some drugs, and I got addicted to them. When his parents brought him to my home to demand an explanation, I was completely stunned. Sophia, don't try to deny it. If you hadn't stripped naked and seduced me that day, would I have listened to you and taken that stuff? Now you've made me addicted to drugs. You're the one to blame, and you still don't want to admit it? It's all because of you that you've made me like this, you shameless bitch. Just admit it quickly. We don't care. Otherwise, we'll all be taken to the police station, and we'll all have a bad reputation in the future. I never dreamed that William would do such a thing and shift all the blame onto me. I had tried my best to get rid of him, but I never expected that I was still haunted by him. If it were me in the past, I might have been intimidated like this and would have caved in, letting William manipulate me that I would not only take the blame for not studying hard for him, but also let him stay out of this matter. I would have to bear all the consequences. But having lived through one lifetime, how could I be controlled by his little tricks? Just as his parents were frantically accusing me, I finally spoke up. Auntie and uncle, why don't we go to the school and ask the teachers and classmates? I said calmly with a smile, or we can just call the police and let them handle it. William didn't expect me to be so calm and to make such a retort. He immediately panicked and shouted, Sophia, you just don't want to take responsibility for me. I don't want to live anymore. I'm going to kill myself. As he said that, he really seemed to be going to hit the wall. Fortunately, his father stopped him. Sophia, how could you do this? We originally wanted William to marry you. Although you're still young now, it doesn't matter. Our two families are so close. How could you treat William like this? Auntie really looks down on you. Just admit it quickly, tell us everything honestly, or we'll call the police and deal with it. William's mother also started to be unreasonable and scolded me. Mrs. William, don't be in a hurry. The matter hasn't been clarified yet. My mother stepped forward to mediate. Sophia has been with us all this time and hasn't left alone. What? The young one is unreasonable, and the old one is also unreasonable? William's mother angrily interrupted my mother's words. My son has already said that it was your daughter who seduced him and made him addicted to drugs. Do you think my son is crazy and deliberately trying to frame you? I think your family doesn't want to admit it. If that's the case, we have no choice but to call the police. It won't look good if this gets out in the school. I felt like laughing at that moment. My parents were really scared. After all, the college entrance examination was coming up soon. If such a thing happened, it would be bad for everyone. Just as they were about to plead for mercy and take the blame, I stopped them. Dad, Mom, call the police. We must call the police. I actually hoped that my parents would have a falling out with the Zhong family, preferably to the extent that they would never communicate with each other again. A family whose parents can't even take good care of their own daughter and leave her to others to watch over, no wonder they would raise such a son. Sophia, do you really have to do this? William's eyes were bloodshot, and he stared at me fiercely. You seduced me and tricked me into taking that stuff. Do you think you're in the right? You're a woman. Aren't you afraid that if this gets out, you'll have no face to show yourself in the future? Those cold eyes were exactly the same as when he pushed me into the sea of fire. I felt like laughing. I shrugged indifferently. I believe the police will give me justice. My parents were also very anxious and tugged at me tightly. After all, we were the female side, and it would definitely be embarrassing if this got out. Moreover, it wasn't clear whether the thing William smoked was illegal or not. I nodded to them and said, Dad, Mom, don't be afraid. I didn't do it, and that's that. He's been messing around outside and now he's come to frame me. He really has some nerve. William, I've told you that you're already 18 years old. You have to take responsibility for everything you do and every word you say. Don't think that just because I've been letting you have your way since we were kids, you can shift all your problems onto me. Why should others pay for the mistakes you made yourself? My attitude was extremely tough. After all, I'm someone who has been reborn once. If I were intimidated by such childish tricks, how could I get by in the future? I wasn't the least bit timid. I looked at William's parents very calmly and said, Mr. and Mrs. William, Please take your precious son and leave my house immediately. I don't care whether you call the police or make a scene at school. If you don't leave now, I can call the police right away and accuse William of slandering and framing me. If this affects my subsequent studies and the college entrance examination, you will bear all the consequences. At that moment, everyone's gaze towards me changed. Especially in my parents' eyes there was a look of relief. Their child had grown up. My parents stood by my side and looked at William's parents with full confidence. Mr. and Mrs. William, since you believe your son, we also believe our daughter. So, let's call the police and handle it. Let the police investigate and find out the truth. William's parents were also confused about the truth of the matter. They knew their son quite well. William, tell us honestly what exactly happened. It's all Sophia. It's her. She seduced me and made me smoke that stuff. William insisted that it was me. It seemed that those gangsters had successfully brainwashed William, making him insist on blaming me so that he could escape the consequences. I shook my head helplessly and didn't say anything more. In the end, the police came. I still just stated the facts and definitely wouldn't take the blame. William also held on stubbornly and even tried to bite back, claiming that I seduced him into smoking and even forced him to do so. What was originally an ordinary civil dispute instantly turned into a criminal case. I was very helpless and was finally taken back to the police station. My parents were extremely worried. They already wanted to beg William to see if we could settle the matter privately. But wouldn't that mean admitting that I was in the wrong towards William? Dad, Mom, it's okay. This isn't really being in jail. I'm just cooperating with the investigation. It's fine. I looked at my parents very calmly and said, "We'll never admit to something I didn't do. On the contrary, some people have made such a big fuss. In the end, they will not only lose all their face but also bear the due responsibilities." William's entire face turned deathly pale with fright. However, even now, he still didn't admit his mistake voluntarily. He still insisted that I drugged and seduced him, making him addicted to that stuff. Just like this, I was taken to the police station. Since the matter had escalated to this point, I had nothing to hide, so I told the police everything about William. The police didn't question me too much. They conducted a urine test on me. After confirming that I was fine, they went to investigate and gather evidence. That was the first time I spent the night in a police station. Sitting on the cold bench, I didn't feel any discomfort at all. Instead, I was very calm. After this incident, our family and William's family completely cut off contact. This could be considered as resolving a major issue that had been bothering me. At least this way, we wouldn't have any more unpleasantness if the matter dragged on. I was released from the police station in less than 2 hours. My parents had been waiting for me outside. When they saw me come out, they quickly came up to me. I looked at them in confusion and asked, "Did he admit it?" "Yes." My mother nodded and told me, his head teacher came and told about his cheating and skipping classes. Then that woman named Luna was also caught. He confessed immediately. Phew. My mother patted her chest and let out a long sigh of relief. I was really scared. Fortunately, my daughter remained calm in the face of trouble. Otherwise, we would have been tricked by them. I really didn't expect William to be such a person. He's so immature. I treated him so well, and it's really disheartening. Mom, it's okay now. Let's go. I smiled slightly. You know, my mother would never say anything bad about William's family before, especially about William. However, that's all in the past now. From now on, everything about William's family has nothing to do with us. The next day, I went to class as usual. The story about William had already spread throughout the campus. It seemed that the police had investigated a lot of people yesterday. As soon as I arrived at the classroom, my classmates were already talking about it. Do you know? That boy who cheated in the exam and knelt down to the teacher was arrested by the police yesterday, and he was smoking something. He's going to be locked up for a long time. His life is completely ruined. Sophia is really unlucky. She didn't even touch him, but she was made to take the blame. Amidst the whispers of my classmates, I heard that what William smoked wasn't a drug but just a kind of smoke that was addictive. He was so nervous when he was caught that he just said whatever came to his mind to shift the blame, which led to the situation getting so out of hand. He originally wanted to shift all the blame onto me so that he could get away with it, but he ended up getting himself into trouble instead. Now that everything has been exposed, I don't know how he's going to deal with it. However, all of this has nothing to do with me anymore. I immersed myself in my studies and didn't care about anything outside. Time passed quickly, and the final exam was approaching. Unexpectedly, I met William again at school. William seemed like a completely different person at that time. He was holding his books and was very well behaved. I was very surprised. I didn't expect William to still come to school. He saw me too, but we didn't greet each other. He went back to his classroom, and I went back to mine. Later, I heard from my classmates that because of William's incident, his parents had even stopped doing their business. Now they were all back to keep an eye on him. They begged the principal for a long time, and William didn't get punished. William was also under their 24-hour surveillance. That Luna was severely beaten by William's mother and didn't dare to come looking for William anymore. Hearing all this, I felt somewhat relieved. Perhaps this was the best outcome for William. At least this way, he wouldn't direct his hatred towards me. However, I didn't expect that. During the winter vacation, this fated entanglement still couldn't be escaped and wrapped around me again. I moved back with my parents a few days before the spring festival. After all, it was the spring festival, and we had to go back to our own home. As soon as we got home, William's parents came to our door with gifts and brought William along. Our two families used to have a good relationship and would visit each other every spring festival. When relatives from both sides came, we would also invite each other to have a meal together to enjoy the lively atmosphere. However, this year, because of William's incident, everyone had a falling out. My parents didn't come back until the end of the year, hoping to avoid the situation. But unexpectedly, they came to our door as soon as we got back. Mr. and Mrs. Sophia, we were in the wrong last time. We've been friends for decades. We can't break off our relationship because of this matter. Today we've come to apologize. We hope you can forgive us and forget the past. Their attitude was very sincere. Even William knelt down and kowtowed to admit his mistake. How could my kind-hearted parents refuse? After all, we had been friends for so many years. In the end, we reconciled. I'm not a narrow-minded person either. But I still felt a bit apprehensive about this family. Especially when I looked into William's eyes, they were exactly the same as they were back then. This made me have to be on my guard. At the beginning, William's parents didn't raise any objections either, and we just had meals together. After having 2 meals, at a gathering in their home, they gave me 2 big red envelopes and told me, "Sophia, you were wronged last time. Uncle and Auntie are apologizing to you." William was being immature. We've already educated him. He's obedient now, and we hope that in the remaining more than 100 days, you can help him more. At that time, I wanted to refuse. But William also came over and bowed to me to apologize, saying, "Sister Sophia, I'm sorry. I didn't dare to approach you for more than 2 months. I know I was wrong. Now I really just want to study hard and get into university." Looking at William's sincere appearance, I hesitated. Finally, under the persuasion of my parents, I agreed. However, the condition I set was, I'll try tutoring him for a while first, but I can't help him with everything. I also need to prepare for the exam. They didn't object either. After that, except for meal times, William always followed me to review that he didn't disturb me and even took the initiative to ask me questions. This made me let down my guard. As long as he develops in a good direction, it will be the best outcome for everyone. Do I have hatred towards William? In fact, I do. After all, he killed my parents and pushed me into the sea of fire. How could I forget such a huge grudge? But that was after all in my previous life. Now, as long as I have nothing to do with him, I'll be satisfied. This help now can be considered as a way out I'm giving him, seeing that he's pitiful and sincerely repenting. But can someone who has truly gone astray really turn back all of a sudden? I didn't know until after the spring festival, on the day of the start of the new term. William's patience and concealment were always scarier than I could imagine. I forgot. Back then, he endured for 10 years just to take revenge on me. Now, for the sake of his love, what's a few months of patience? On the day of the start of the new term, William's parents entrusted him to my parents again. Mr. Sophia, you've seen that William is very sensible now. Don't worry. He said he'll still live in the school dormitory, but during the monthly home leave, he'll come to your place for a meal and stay for 1 or 2 nights. We'll definitely come back when we have time. You know that it's not easy to do business now, and since the child is about to take the college entrance examination soon, we need to save more money for him. They were really crying and sniffling as they said this. Sometimes I can't understand why they have to find a high-sounding excuse to cover up their irresponsibility. I've also heard before that in order to make their children's lives better, they need to earn more money, so they don't have much time to accompany their children. But when I grew up and came back to this moment, I deeply understood a truth. Accompanying your children won't actually affect your ability to earn money at all. They think that if they stop, they will lose a lot. But the money that's lost can be earned back. Once you lose the time to accompany your children, you can never get it back. At that time, my parents were about to agree, but I stopped them. Mr. and Mrs. William, there are still 108 days until the college entrance examination. You should accompany William more. This can not only ensure that his daily life and diet are taken care of, but also relieve his pressure. Maybe you can earn a lot of money in these 108 days, but these 108 days will affect William's whole life. However, my words didn't make William's parents take it seriously. And William also put on an innocent look, saying that he could take care of himself and would just come to me for advice when he had problems. This made it difficult for our family to refuse. But I felt that things were definitely not that simple. As expected, when school was over on the first day of the new term, I walked out of the school gate and saw William also coming out. He got into the car driven by Luna, who had dyed her hair green. William saw me too. He patted Luna on the shoulder, and Luna rode the car up to me. William looked at me deeply and said, "Sophia, I know you won't tattle. I won't involve you either. Just pretend you didn't see anything. Okay." I nodded and didn't pay attention to them anymore. But a chill rose in my heart. I knew that I had underestimated William's patience. The woman who could endure for 10 years to take revenge on me in the past, what was a few months of patience to deceive her own parents? Later, I heard from my classmates that William had obtained an access pass, saying that his parents had rented a house for him outside to facilitate his review. I knew this was a lie. But I couldn't be bothered to care. Everything had nothing to do with me. I just needed to focus on my own studies. In the past, I had all my thoughts on William, so my academic performance was really poor. This time, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my studies. Thanks to my hard work in the first half of the semester, in each mock exam in the second half of the semester, my grades were basically stable among the top 10 in the grade. My parents were beaming with joy seeing my stable performance. Our daughter has really made something of herself. I was also very gratified. Because in my parents' eyes, as long as their child has good academic performance and gets into a good university, it's something to be extremely proud of. But one day, when I came home from school, my father looked at me seriously and said, "Sophia, hasn't William been going to school recently? I saw someone on the street today who looked like him. He was with that girl with green hair. They were smoking and kissing. Should I call William's father and ask about it?" My heart skipped a beat when I heard this. I quickly said, "Dad, leave other people's business alone. Have you forgotten what happened last year?" My parents looked at me in a bit of a daze. "Sophia, do you know something?" "I don't know anything." I emphasized my tone. "Dad, Mom, please don't meddle in his business, okay?" The college entrance examination is coming soon, and I don't want any more problems to arise. My parents also knew the seriousness of the situation. They nodded and didn't pursue the matter further, but I knew that they still had feelings for William. I was very afraid and continued to emphasize. Dad, Mom, if you run into William with those gangsters on the street, please pretend you didn't see anything. And don't tell his parents either. I know this will make it difficult for you, but for my sake, I don't want to be used as a scapegoat by William again. My parents nodded quickly. Even after getting their promise, I still wasn't at ease. The next day at school, I took the initiative to find William. I wanted to remind him to be more careful outside and not to be seen. As a result, I learned that William had been on sick leave for over a week. I smiled helplessly. In the end, I gave up this idea. About a little over a month later, the time for the college entrance examination was getting closer and closer. Everyone was working hard. William came to me again. Sophia, you must help me this time. Please, I don't know who else to turn to except you. William looked haggard, with dark circles under his eyes and sunken eye sockets. This was the result of staying up late for a long time, or even keeping his nerves in an excited state for a long time. Don't you have your all-powerful wife? I replied coldly, I can't do anything. If you have problems, you'd better go to her. After saying that, I turned around and left. I didn't want to know anything about the additional problems he had encountered. Sophia, I broke up with her. William grabbed me tightly, she betrayed me. I want to take revenge on her. I won't let her have an easy time. What does that have to do with me? I gave William a cold look and shook him off hard before leaving. I didn't want to get involved in his affairs anymore. This man has too much resentment. Whoever is sorry for him, he will take revenge on that person. If I can't afford to provoke him, can't I avoid him? Bang! William rushed in front of me and knelt down directly. Sophia, I'm addicted to drugs. This time it's a real drug addiction. Please lend me some money. I can't hold it anymore. I was stunned at that moment. From William's expression, I could tell that he wasn't joking this time. Sophia, I really can't find anyone else to help me. If you won't help me, can you just lend me some money? Luna had a fight with me. She wants to break up with me just because I can't afford things. She went to a hotel with another man that I want to take revenge on her. I want to make her regret it. William's eyes made my heart tighten. This look was exactly the same as when he pushed me into the sea of fire. Sophia, I won't involve you this time. I've already knelt down to you. Please help me. I came back to my senses and looked at him coldly. With such a big thing happening, you'd better tell your parents. This is beyond what you can handle. After saying that, I sidestepped him and turned to leave. William kowtowed desperately towards me. Sophia, this time it's a big mess, and I'm afraid to tell them. Please help me. I'll deal with it secretly. Don't worry. I will definitely not have any more contact with Luna after this. I had no mercy at all and didn't look back as I walked away. Staying away from William was my last bottom line with him. Getting involved would only make me repeat the same mistakes. I hope that after going through this, William can wake up and stop being obsessed. However, William's actions completely exceeded my expectations. As soon as I got home from school that day, my parents received a call from William's parents. Mr. Sophia, something has happened. William is having a massive hemorrhage and is now being rescued in the People's Hospital. Please go over and take a look. William's father and I are on our way back. My parents were also very worried, and we rushed over. William had arterial bleeding because he injected with a syringe. He was still in the emergency room. And his so-called girlfriend didn't show up from beginning to end. Who is the patient's family member? The patient's condition is critical now, and we may need to remove his testicles. Please sign here. At that time, our whole family was stunned. At that moment, I suddenly felt a little guilty in my heart that if I had told his parents about this earlier, he might not have ended up like this. But now it's too late to regret. After all, he brought this upon himself. My parents couldn't make the decision either and were about to go up and sign. Although I felt a bit guilty, I also knew that we couldn't sign this. We were not his direct family members. We were just neighbors who came to help and take a look. His parents were on the way. I quickly spoke up to distance ourselves from the matter. Removing the testicles is not a small matter. This is something that concerns William's whole life. With his character, he will definitely blame me and my family for this in the future. I don't want to be involved with him again. When my parents heard what I said, they also came to their senses and quickly took out their phones to call William's parents. They asked them to talk to the doctor themselves. Although this seemed a bit cold-hearted and even like shirking responsibility, I'm just such a selfish person. I don't want my family to be hurt in the future. In the end, William's testicles were removed. By the time his parents arrived, it was already late at night. They were crying bitterly. I didn't kick a man when he was down. I just took my parents and left silently. Mom, we'd better have less contact with their family in the future. When we got home, I finally expressed my thoughts. They keep doing this over and over again. Sooner or later, it will lead to a big problem. People who ignore their own son for the sake of a little business have no reason for us to continue interacting with them. My parents didn't expect me to say such things. My mother is a sentimental person. Wiping her tears, she said sadly, "We're all people with hard lives." Although my mother was a bit reluctant. But under the persuasion of my father and me, she managed to calm down. Finally, we discussed that after I finished the college entrance examination, we would go back and sell that house. Depending on which university I got into, they would go with me and live next to me. At that time, my parents thought I was just joking. But they didn't know that besides wanting to get rid of William and get into a good school through the college entrance examination again, I, who was reborn, also carried the memories of the market changes in the next 10 years. Although I don't know the lottery numbers, I like watching dramas and investing, so I'm quite clear about the future market trends. Although I'd been busy reviewing during this period, every week, would go to an internet cafe and buy some long-term stocks. Now that my money is making more money, my savings are already more than my parents'. I just don't want my parents to know that this money comes from my stock trading. So, there is a reason why I asked them to sell the house after the college entrance examination. Only in this way can I have time to do something and let them see that all of this is obtained through my own efforts. William stayed in the hospital for more than a week. After being discharged from the hospital, he didn't come back to school either. I heard that he was making a scene at home, threatening to commit suicide and insisting on seeing Luna. His parents found Luna, but Luna didn't want to take responsibility at all and didn't want to pay attention to William. The fact that she can be a gangster outside shows that there are also problems with her family's discipline. Luna's parents and William's parents had a huge quarrel. "My son is like this because of your daughter. If you don't take responsibility, we will keep making trouble with you. What are you making a fuss about? Your son is already 18 years old. Ours is a daughter. We are the ones who are at a disadvantage. He can't have children now, and he still wants my daughter to marry him. Are we crazy? If you don't take responsibility, this matter won't end. Even if I go bankrupt, I will make you pay the price." Later, William's father really did it. He led people to make a scene at Luna's home. He beat Luna severely in front of her, almost beating her half to death. Luna's parents were also intimidated. In the end, under all kinds of pressure, Luna finally compromised and obediently followed William's father home to see William. Later, my parents said that William's family sent an invitation. Because William dropped out of school and didn't want to study anymore. After Luna went that day, he pestered her, threatening to live or die. William's family cared about Face. They were also afraid that their son would have an accident. William's father agreed to take Luna with them to do business, and Luna agreed to get married. When I saw the invitation, I was also surprised. They have just turned 18. They haven't reached the legal age yet. What's the big deal? They can get married first and then get the marriage certificate when they reach the legal age. Forget it. Considering the relationship between our two families, we won't go to the wedding. Anyway, that day is the day of Sophia's college entrance examination. We can just use that as an excuse to decline. Just ask them to bring our gift money instead. My parents' decision was exactly what I wanted. Since that's the case, I've completely gotten rid of the whole thing. In the following 2 months, I had a very fulfilling and pleasant time. After the college entrance examination, I also got the ideal grades and was admitted to the university I wanted. After the exam ended, my parents started dealing with the matter of buying a house. And I began my entrepreneurial plan. I borrowed 1,000 yuan from my parents, saying that it was for a classmate reunion. But I didn't use the money to attend the reunion. Instead, I used it to buy flowers and glow sticks. At the same time, I took out 10,000 to 20,000 yuan from the money I earned during this period and added it in. Then I found a large truck and hired several part-time workers to go to the north of the city. Because I clearly remembered that on the night after the college entrance examination ended, there was a property launch in the north of the city. They held a Chishi festival romantic barbecue and invited many married, dating, and single friends to participate. Then they invited a has-been celebrity to sing. They didn't expect that this has-been celebrity brought a wave of nostalgia and attracted countless people at the same time. That night was a party full of love. Everyone was running towards love. Because they weren't well prepared, the flowers and glow sticks at the scene were in short supply. Even those who came to sell them later after getting the news made a fortune. It was on the news headlines at that time. How could I miss this opportunity? That night, it was as popular as I knew it would be from my previous life. The flowers and glow sticks in my truck were completely sold out in just half an hour. Since I sold them at an increased price, the cost of more than 20,000 yuan turned into 70,000 to 80,000 yuan after being sold. When the TV station and the newspaper came to interview, I became their legitimate target of the interview. I gave a passionate speech and showed my face, so that my parents could see me. But I didn't expect that I would meet William and Luna here. They had just gotten married and actually came here. Sophia, why didn't you come to bless me on my wedding day? William gently held Luna's hand and looked at me with disdain. Are you unhappy and didn't dare to come because you saw that I found the happiness I want? What's the use of having good grades in school? You still have to come out and work. What's the difference between you and me and Luna? No, you're much worse than us. My parents have been doing business all the time and can teach us well. Your parents are just workers and you'll be a worker in the future too. Hee hee. In the face of William's mockery, I just gave a cold laugh and gave them the last remaining roses. I wish you happiness. After saying that, I took the money and went home. I didn't have the time or the mood to pay attention to these meaningless arguments. When I got home, I put 80,000 yuan in front of my parents. At the same time, I let them watch the evening news. When they saw me on the news, they were very excited. My classmate told me about this news, so we didn't go to the reunion today. Instead, we used the money to buy and sell flowers. If it wasn't for the lack of time, we might have earned a little more. I looked at my parents calmly. Dad, Mom, I'm already an adult. I want to use this money to do something with my classmates and see if I can develop my abilities before the start of the semester. My parents didn't object to my idea. Although 80,000 yuan was my father's annual salary, they still supported me without reservation. After going through so many things, they knew that their daughter had grown up. Time passes quickly when you have something to do. During the 2 months of the summer vacation, we completely laundered our money and also established a food delivery and errand-running company. We gathered the deliverymen in yellow uniforms that would be everywhere 10 years later in advance. Before going to university, I had already given my parents more than 1 million yuan. And the money here was still increasing. I didn't apply for a university too far away. It was just in the provincial capital. My parents went with me, and it would be convenient for them to come back. When we left, I sold the food delivery company for more than 1 million yuan. After all, the general trend was about to come. Small places would be annexed sooner or later. There was no point in holding on to it any longer. Just before our family left, William's parents came to us again. "Mr. and Mrs. Sophia, you must help us. That bitch Luna. We took her to do business, but she took our money and fooled around. Now the entire cash flow has been cut off. If we can't make up the money, we'll have nothing left. Big brother, big sister, you must help us." William's parents knelt down to my parents. The fact that I had made money during this period should have spread and been known to everyone. But everyone knew that it was the money I earned for going to university and buying a house, so no one came to us to borrow money. I just didn't expect that the Williams family would be so thick-skinned. My parents also looked very embarrassed and turned their eyes to me. I gently shook my head. It's not that I'm unwilling to help those in need. It's just that we can't help with this matter. The Williams family always thinks that business is more important than everything else. Even if we help them, it's just helping the evildoers. After all, their son and daughter-in-law are not easy people. However, my parents eventually chose to help them. But they didn't use my money. Instead, they used their own money. This is all our savings. It's also a little bit of our intention. If you can get back on your feet in the future and remember us, you can pay it back. If not, it doesn't matter. I didn't stop my parents at that time. I knew that they were also disappointed with the Williams family. This can be regarded as an explanation for their relationship. William's parents took the money and left in a hurry. My parents and I also left here and went to the provincial capital. Later, I heard that William's parents borrowed money everywhere and owed a lot more. But the hole that Luna made for them was too big for them to fill, and the whole business completely collapsed. And because Luna and William hadn't got the marriage certificate yet, all the responsibilities fell on the Williams family. Luna just left without looking back. When William went to beg her, she even brought people to beat William and told him to get lost. My mother couldn't bear the pressure and committed suicide by jumping off a building. His father, in a fit of anger, took a knife to find Luna. Luna was so scared that she rode her bike at full speed and ended up dying in a car accident. The originally good family was thus broken up. William also suffered from depression and locked himself in his room. At that time, I was at university. After my parents heard the news, they rushed back to attend William's mother's funeral. They came back and told me that William seemed like a completely different person and was completely stunned. If we had known it would end up like this, we should have disciplined Luna earlier. If that were the case, it wouldn't have ended up like this. When I heard these words, I smiled helplessly. If my parents had really intervened at the beginning, the result would have been that my family was destroyed. That I am a selfish person. For the safety of my family, I will never let them suffer any harm. The situation of William's family is entirely their own fault. This is also the consequence of William's own choices. It has nothing to do with us at all. Since we moved to the provincial capital and were far away from them, their affairs gradually drifted away from me and I slowly forgot about them. However, some fated entanglements are not so easy to break off as you wish. William was like a ghost seeking revenge, and he entangled our family again. After William's mother committed suicide due to depression, his father couldn't hold on either. It wasn't long before he was diagnosed with cancer. At that time, William's family had nothing left, so William could only come to us. I really wanted to slap him twice at that moment. "William, do you take my family as an inexhaustible source of money? We already drew a clear line when we lent you money last time. What are you coming to us for now?" Although William looked pitiful, I didn't feel any sympathy for him. I knew that once I opened this door, it would be an endless pit. However, my parents secretly helped him pay the medical bills behind my back. I was a freshman at that time. I was starting a business while studying and achieved great success in both my career and studies. Moreover, I met the man who shared the same ideals and beliefs as me. I was in a sweet relationship. So I didn't notice that the money I gave to my parents was secretly given to William by them. By the time I found out, it was already too late. In my senior year of university, my business had grown bigger and bigger. But I didn't give up my studies. I knew where my future was. I chose to continue my postgraduate studies. The boyfriend who had been with me day and night for 4 years also chose the same path as me. Moreover, we had decided to let our parents meet and set the wedding date. We would take the postgraduate entrance examination together after getting married. Such a wonderful couple was the idol that everyone in the whole university envied. But when I brought my boyfriend home, William was in my house. We hadn't seen each other for 4 years. He had lost a lot of weight and looked even more haggard. His hair was cut short and his hands were covered with rough calluses. When he saw me, he seemed a little scared and involuntarily took a step back. My mother immediately stood up and said, "Sophia, William's father has passed away, and now William has been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. Before his father passed away, he entrusted William to us. I brought him back home without your consent." As my mother said this, she started crying and wiped her tears. After all, we watched him grow up, and I can't bear to abandon him. At that moment, I didn't know what to say. My boyfriend who came back with me also felt embarrassed. We were supposed to discuss our marriage, but this happened instead. Finally, after having an awkward meal with us, he left. I was extremely angry at that time. After seeing my boyfriend off, I shouted at William furiously. "William, do I owe you something? I've already let you go to pursue your happiness. Why are you still pestering me? I've really had enough. Get out. Get out of here right now. You can die wherever you want, but don't pester me anymore." It was the first time I lost control of my emotions in front of my parents. I didn't know how to face William. In my previous life, I stopped him, and he killed my whole family. In this life, I let him pursue his own happiness, but he still came to pester me. This made me extremely angry. I really didn't know what to do. What on earth does this man want from me? I even suspected that he was also reborn, so he deliberately pestered me. My parents didn't expect me to be so angry either. My mother slapped me in anger. "Sophia, what are you talking about? William didn't want to trouble us. I forced him to come with us. Auntie, uncle, sister Sophia is right. It's my fault. I'll leave now." William wasn't angry. He lowered his head and was about to leave. My mother rushed to grab his hand, but she accidentally grabbed his clothes and pulled off the coat he was wearing. At that time, I saw William's arm that was covered by his clothes. The arm that was originally at least the size of a fist had now atrophied to nothing but skin and bones. I was completely stunned. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Is this what motor neuron disease is like? My mother hugged William and cried bitterly. William is already in the late stage of the disease. He doesn't have much time left. He's a poor child, and we are his only family now. At that moment, I didn't say anything. My heart also felt a little sad. People say that this is retribution. But when you see this retribution come true in front of you, you still can't help but feel a little sorry for it. I felt sympathy for William for the first time. I didn't object to him staying at home. Although I was away, I would still go home to visit him from time to time. I searched online and asked my doctor friends. Motor neuron disease is also known as amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. People with this disease can't control their muscles. They may even suffer from certain mental illnesses. In addition to muscle atrophy, they may also have excessive reactions such as uncontrollable crying and laughing. In severe cases, they may even have difficulty breathing. I didn't expect William to get such a disease at such a young age. My hatred for him completely disappeared. After all, he was my childhood sweetheart who grew up with me. I explained the situation clearly to my boyfriend, and he understood me. He would come with me to visit William every time. William's condition was getting worse and worse. I wasn't stingy with money anymore. I even invited foreign doctors to treat him. However, there is simply no solution to this disease. It will torture you to the point where you feel that life is worse than death. Sometimes it will even kill you. The pain deep in the muscles and bones can neither be relieved nor stopped. Even the strongest person will be tortured by the disease to the point of committing suicide due to depression. We all expected that William might want to commit suicide. So, my parents took turns to have someone stay by his side 24 hours a day. That afternoon, my mother called me and said that William wanted to see me and asked me to come over. I didn't hesitate and rushed to the hospital. It was after I don't know how many years that I saw William's gentle and sweet smile again. Although his facial muscles were already distorted at this time, the smile in his clear eyes made me feel very warm. I stayed with William from afternoon until night. William told me a lot of things. From our childhood to the mistakes he made, he would cry and laugh alternately. He couldn't control his expressions and emotions, but he insisted on finishing what he wanted to say. I knew. These were his last words. Sister Sophia, thank you. I know I was wrong. I've done so many wrong things in this life. I'm sorry for my parents, sorry for uncle and auntie, and sorry for you. But even though I'm like this, you still haven't given up on me. If I hadn't gone out and messed around, if I had studied hard with you, gone to university together, pursued postgraduate studies together, and then married you, how happy we would have been. We are true childhood sweethearts. I really envy Big Brother. Will Big Brother be jealous if he knows you're here with me? Sister Sophia, you must be happy. I can't attend your wedding. Just like you didn't attend mine, we're even now. Sister Sophia, if there is an afterlife, I will definitely repay you for this kindness and let me take care of you. William said a lot. His words were also very jumbled. He was even fantasizing that if there was another life, he would definitely stay by my side. But in this world, where are there so many ifs? I comforted William. Don't worry. I've already contacted professors from abroad. They will come next Monday and conduct a comprehensive examination of your condition at that time. Don't worry. This illness won't kill you. As long as you actively cooperate with the treatment, everything will be okay. William smiled bitterly. In fact, everyone knew very well in their hearts. If he died directly, it would be the best relief. Being in this half-dead state is not good for anyone. I knew that William wanted to commit suicide. I persuaded him for a long time. Although he nodded on the surface, I knew that he wouldn't listen to me. Sister Sophia, I'm only telling you, and only you can help me. If Uncle and Auntie knew, they would definitely not agree. I'm really tired and uncomfortable. Let me go. I want to be free. I want to atone for my parents. William desperately tried to prop up his body that was nothing but skin and bones, wanting to sit up. But he didn't have the strength. His body fell back down again. He wanted me to help him apply for euthanasia to free him from the illness. How could I possibly agree? That was the first time I cried for William. At this moment, my feelings for him were like those of an elder sister for a younger brother. Perhaps, as William said, we were already a family a long time ago. It's just that the relationship between us was made complicated by ourselves, yes. Whether in the previous life or this life. My feelings for William were actually those of family. Especially after I had a boyfriend in this life, I realized what love was. I finally understood the difference between family love and romantic love. The relationship between William and me was that of siblings. But I was so stupid back then that I couldn't tell the difference and even got jealous when he was in a relationship. I think it's extremely ridiculous now. But all of this is in the past. Now, I just want William to live and try every means to cure him. We will live a good life together like a family in the future. Sister, let's do it in the next life. William begged me, I can't do it in this life. To prevent William from doing something stupid, I called my parents over. We stayed by William's side all the time. But when a person is determined to die, there is nothing you can do to keep them alive. He passed away. He left peacefully. We watched him leave in silence. This was the first time I saw someone around me leave. At that moment, I cried. The grudges of 2 lifetimes finally came to an end. When I was tidying up William's belongings, I found a diary. I didn't originally want to pry into other people's secrets. But that diary fell to the ground and I happened to see the words on it that I was reborn and returned to my senior year of high school. In this lifetime, I must pursue my own happiness. When I saw this, my heart tightened. I didn't expect that William was also reborn. At that moment, I became interested in this notebook that I started reading it quietly. The more I read, the more shocked I became. I didn't expect that after being reborn, William's life was so gloomy. Today is the day I'm with Luna. I've finally gotten rid of Sophia. She has a cold attitude towards me. She should also be reborn. Great. I didn't expect that we were both reborn. I originally had a little guilt towards them, but now it's gone. I'm going to pursue my love. Let Sophia bear the sins alone. It's over. Luna has fascinated me so much. I'm already deeply in love with her. Although she is a bit immature for me now, she was my goddess back then. When I go out now, they all call me Big Brother. I really enjoy it. Many of my classmates now regard me as an idol. This vanity from my school days has finally been satisfied. Sophia just knows how to study every day. It's so funny. Does she really think she can have a good future just by getting into a good university? Wasn't she mediocre back then? Wouldn't she still marry me for the money in my family in the end? As long as she doesn't bother me in this life, I will still help her when she's in trouble in the future. After all, she's my childhood sweetheart. Sophia, how dare you move away? Are you deliberately framing me? Although you didn't tell my parents. Your actions really disappoint me. Since you're doing this, what should I do? I came to you for help but you refused. Then I can only set a trap for you and make you the same as me. I can't let you have a better life than me. Sophia, you're so ruthless. You actually dared to call the police and let all the things be exposed. I'll remember you. Since you won't let me have a good life, I won't let you have a good life either. I can endure. I can endure more than you. You just wait for me. After I deal with my mom, I'll deal with you slowly. Forget it. Sophia is quite pitiful. She's actually teaching me things now. For the sake of her being my childhood sweetheart, I'll let her go. Anyway, I'm very happy with Luna now. I just want this kind of life. What's wrong with me? Why do I still think of Sophia first whenever I encounter a problem? Why not Luna? I'm sick, but I don't dare to tell Luna. Instead, I tell Sophia. Could it be that I love Sophia? No. It's impossible. I definitely don't like her. She's so ugly and a four-eyed person. How could I like her? It's just that she didn't help me today and wanted to kill me. Fine. Sophia, you remember this. After I deal with my relationship with Luna, I'll deal with you. I had my testicles removed and can't have children anymore. I heard that Sophia stopped her mom from signing and called my mom. I know she was shirking responsibility. Her actions really disappoint me. Even if I killed her before, wasn't it because she killed the person I loved? Now we're all living in peace. Why is she still treating me like this? I didn't say anything. What right does she have to say anything? Forget it. Let's not talk about her. I'm so heartbroken. Why am I thinking about her? I married Luna. But I'm not happy at all. I always feel that there's an emptiness in my heart. I don't have the same feeling as when I married Sophia. What's going on? Could it be that I love Sophia? No. It's impossible. Who the hell is Sophia? Does she even deserve my love? She's just a street vendor. I must earn more money than her. I want her to come and beg me. Mom is gone. My heart hurts so much, and I feel so miserable. I never thought that one day I would lose my mom. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have been like this. I really want to start over and listen to Sophia, and let her stop me. Luna is also dead. She deserved to die. I don't feel the slightest bit of heartache for her. Instead, I feel a bit of secret joy. This bitch is finally dead. Sophia, where are you? I really want to see you and have you comfort me. Although I know it's all impossible now. I'm sick. I'm going to die. I really miss Sophia. For years have passed, and I finally see Sophia again. I'm so excited. I don't know how she'll react when she sees me like this. But I really miss her so much. Sophia is getting married. She has a boyfriend. That man is so gentle and handsome. He's a perfect match for her. She shouted at me because of that man. I feel so miserable. But I still sincerely wish them happiness. I'm no longer worthy of being with Sophia. Sophia has contacted many experts for my sake. I'm so touched. This can be regarded as Sophia's final compensation for me. Thank you, Sophia. I love you, and I won't be a burden to you. I read through that diary word by word. From the initial feeling of being heartbroken and angry to the later feeling of being miserable and regretful, I know both William and I were too stubborn. We both forgot to communicate with each other, to understand each other's innermost thoughts. We missed our chance. And we missed it completely. We won't have another chance. After burying William, I also returned to the life I wanted. But in my heart, I could never forget that man. His fate shouldn't have been like this. He should have been a person even more excellent than me. But time won't turn back. During that period, the question I thought about the most was how Zhong dealt with it after I died. Was he also going through a tough time? I don't know. But in my heart, I couldn't stop thinking about William. He was my childhood sweetheart. He was the childhood sweetheart I grew up with since childhood, with whom I had a betrothal arranged since we were kids and even married. It wasn't until I married my boyfriend that I deeply understood the feeling described in William's diary. The love between my boyfriend and me was built on my hatred for William. But now I don't hate William anymore. This relationship seems so empty. On the day of the wedding, I drank a lot of wine. I got myself drunk because I wanted to escape. I didn't want to close my eyes and see William's figure. But no matter how much wine I drank, when I closed my eyes, that handsome face still appeared. I drank desperately. Everyone thought I was happy. But I actually drank until I cried. I even felt that what I was doing was irresponsible to my boyfriend. I really wanted to escape, but I had nowhere to run. I was carried into the bridal chamber by them. I lay on the bed, feeling weak in my limbs. But my mind was extremely clear. I just stared at the face that appeared in front of me. It was William's face when he was a child, slowly approaching me. And it was getting clearer and clearer, clearer and clearer. I widened my eyes, thinking I was dreaming. Standing in front of me was actually William. It was still that youthful and innocent face, holding my hand and shaking me pitifully. My dear childhood sweetheart, thank you for helping me. I've made a lot of progress in this monthly exam. Sister Sophia, I'll ask my mom to stew a big pork knuckle to repay you when I get home. I thought everything was a dream at that time. But finally, my memory came back. This was after the monthly exam in our senior year of high school. And William didn't go to pursue his love anymore. Instead, he studied hard by my side. At that moment, I knew that William had come back first. It turned out that this was our true destiny, that I hugged William regardless of everything. Childhood sweetheart, we will never be apart in the future.